Watch these clips and tell me if you think this person can read or understands what he's signing into order for us. Just watch.
Resolution 42.
Explain that, please.
Sure. And lastly, sir, we have House Joint Resolution 75.
Do you have the sync one in here? The syncs and...
Do they have the sync one in there? I don't know. You could just read it. Look down at the paper you're about to sign for all of us. Look down.
Signing a regulation bill, and you might want to discuss it, please. Somebody could explain it.
First, we have a list of pardons and commutations.
And how many people are this? Anything you want to explain about this?
This is a...
My guy said, anything you want to explain to me about this? Like after signing it. You guys aren't supporting Trump. You're supporting whoever all those people are. He can barely read. We know that. And I'm not even saying that to like make fun of the man. Like, it is what it is at this point. But he's not reading these things.
This next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship.
That's a big one.
Sir, this is a proclamation declaring a national emergency.
That's a big one. A lot of big ones, huh?
What?
This is an executive order taking a large number of executive actions.
Okay. Sounds reasonable.
Sounds reasonable? It's your executive order. It should be something that you absolutely want. Sounds reasonable is like somebody came to you, told you to do something, you was like, I guess. It's an executive order that affects the rest of the world.
Next, Mr. President, we have House Joint Resolution 24.
Or what do they do?
They
increase the
speak to
energy
Senate.
efficiency requirements.
Look, they all just talking over themselves, trying to get their executive orders passed, and he can't really read them like that, so he doesn't know. And they're just like, he has one person a question, and another person's answering for that person, and it's just people just talking. I feel bad for that old man.
Next for you, sir.
Will we look into the past people? Is that part of this? And this pretty much does it, right?
Is that part of this? The paper that you're looking at? The paper that you can easily read? Is that... For God's sakes, look down, my guy. Read the papers. This was nerve-wracking to watch, honestly.
Sir, a major priority. This next executive order. Next, sir, we have an executive order. Next, sir, we have an executive order. Lastly, sir, we have an executive order.
I'm going to sign it now, and maybe I'll ask you, Will, to explain a little bit about it.
Of course, sir.
Sorry about that. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I've been telling you all for a while, he has no idea what's going on. Zero. He is the puppet to a plethora of Svengalis. Not only are these executive orders obviously rushed, they're poorly written, there's no infrastructure behind them, there's no plan of action. Many of them are extremely vague, and he can't even, as he's signing them, look down and read them. The only reason he made a big spectacle out of his initial executive orders is because he kept drumming up that Biden was using the auto pen. So to keep that narrative going, he has to show people, see, I'm signing it myself, but nobody's questioning what's in these. Nobody's asking him to explain his executive orders and how they are supposed to be implemented. Not once, not at all. But hey. Now, it seemed to be ruffling some feathers that Black people we're collectively being very vocal about the strain and drain of all of this anti-Blackness, especially since your anti-Blackness has gotten us to where we are now. And now that things are affecting you and you realize that you didn't have a seat at the table, that you don't have that great of a proximity to the umbrella that is whiteness, you want to come at us. Now, I made a video over on TikTok, I believe I shared it on this platform as well, calling out to those communities, saying those of you all that are trying to fearmonger or threaten or all these things, to Black people, why not talk to your own people who didn't have the energy to vote in your best interest? And they're like, oh, no, that's not happening. I want to show you something, and then we'll talk on the other side.
They got kids. 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 It's not that serious. It's all right. They got kids. They got kids. They got kids. Don't worry about it.
Now, just to be clear, she's already been identified. She's already been let go from her place of employment, as far as what's been publicly stated. But from people researching her, she comes from undocumented immigrants. You heard her saying, go back, because their colorism and that caste system is so ingrained into people that they'll get a white spouse. They'll become the stepmom or the mother to white children. And they think that that absolves them and that increases their proximity. So they decide to stay in the cool kids club. They'll take on the cool kids lingo, knowing how it felt when people were screaming that at them. And quite honestly, even if she put on all of her MAGA regalia and walked around, there are white supremacists that would still say that to her face. Let us not forget that leading up to the election, at the RNC, they held up mass deportation signs. There was a staunch Latino MAGA man who took to the internet to talk about how his neighbors didn't want their children to play with his children and things that they said to him. But he still clung hold to the MAGA. And you want to know why? A lot of people are confused, like, but why are there people from the Asian community and Latino and Hispanic communities that anti-Blackness? They don't care how badly they're treated as long as they don't see themselves being treated as badly as Black folks. That's why any criticism or critique of any of them that are non-deconstructing is met with instant racism. Instant. A few months back, a gentleman just said, hey, can y'all just not say the N-word? People from the Latin and Hispanic communities flooded his comment section immediately with racism and racial tropes. Immediately. Like they were getting paid to do it or somebody promised them a prize. This is why we're tired. Don't come up and say, but we were out there for George Floyd. You weren't out there. Members of your community that have deconstructed were out there, but you were out there for things that we put together for ourselves. It's one thing to ask us to come and help, but you want us to come and do. We are not worthy until you want free labor. We are not worthy until you want us to be the targets for everything. You want us to take all of the shots. And we're like, no. You keep treating us as if we're expendable. And from that onto this, because this young lady went viral, crying and pleading for her father, who was dying and was deported. And she admitted that she voted for Trump. My spidey senses tingled a little bit. Wasn't quite sure. Let me show you why my spidey senses were tingling. And we'll talk about it. So I'll see you in 2 and 2.
I feel like not everyone who voted for Trump really agreed with this message. And if anything, we didn't really understand why we were voting that way. I realized mine stemmed from just being a daughter who never really got to be a child and would do all the important phone calls, all the translating, and carrying all that weight and responsibility after years and years eventually just turned into resentment. And all that resentment pushed me all the way to the other side.
Oh, honey, no. Nope, that's not it. Did you just say you resented your father because you had to take care of him? But you came on here crying and pretending that you regretted the decision of voting against his own well-being. And you had a GoFundMe. I moved to the US as a 19-year-old college graduate to pursue my further education. And after the years that I was here, I got my citizenship, and then my parents moved here. My mother doesn't speak English, her English is very basic, so every responsibility to take care of them is on me. My phone is always on because if she gets pulled over driving, the cops are going to have to call me. If she gets a ticket and needs to go to court, I have to go with her. If she needs a doctor's appointment, if she needs to go to the bank, if she needs to make a phone call, that's all on me. I have to make sure she doesn't get scammed. I have to make sure that all of her bills are paid on time. And I don't have 1 ounce of resentment. But let me tell you something. My in-laws were born here, and my husband still has to do all of those things. My mother-in-law was having an issue with her dentist, and I had to step in, and I had to help, and I had to tell her, no, you gotta go find another dentist because that one is not right. And she still calls me to ask me, why are things like this? How does health insurance work? Why are things like that? If they got a new iPhone, my husband has to set it up. Has to set up the Wi-Fi at their house. In fact, my mother-in-law is scared that her phone is spying on her. They were both born here, they're both Americans. And that's not gonna get easier, that's not gonna get better. Boomers are not self-sufficient. Boomers need help. And as they get older, they need more help. You can't resent your parents for that. So now I'm starting to think that you did that all on purpose. You voted against your own father on purpose. Especially the part where you said that we really needed to hit rock bottom so we could learn. That was on purpose. We got you now.
I've said this so many times. The biggest connector of MAGA is grifting. They grift one another. They tried to grift the rest of us, and they quickly realized that wasn't going to work. So they grift each other at all costs. The biggest thing Donald Trump has given to these people is an opportunity to change their financial standing because they are willing to bleed each other dry. She most definitely did that on purpose. She came here at 19. She thought she was going to escape her parents, and build a better life for herself and herself only. Her parents saw how she was doing and they were like, you know what? Maybe we can go here and things can be a little bit better for us. She hated that from day one. Trump gave her a twofold opportunity to free herself from her ailing father and put some money in her pocket. Now, when I talk about anti-Blackness, especially against Black women, people think that I'm stretching the truth or, but we see, especially in sports, Angel Reese is killing it on the court, off the court. But there are people who are fans of Caitlin Clark, and many people are like, oh, she's their great white hope because, she got a villain in a Black woman. And they couldn't, and they're like, it's not the same, it's the same as Magic and Bird. No, it's not, because you wouldn't do that to two men to this extent. But it's deeper than that. Caitlin Clark is the final boss of Karens. Hear me out. If you ever watch her play, she plays like a Karen. Like from a very young age, she realized not just how to weaponize white woman tears, but weaponize fully the default damsel in distress disorder. She will obviously push off on people and flounder around and flop that you don't pay attention that she barely has mastered the basics of basketball. She's barely mediocre. Before you go, but she made it into the WNBA. Yeah, because she played a part. She played a role. She showed that as a default damsel in distress, people will do anything to hype her up and to protect her. They know she sucks. This is why they're quiet about so many other phenomenal players that have great nights. And when she has an okay, decent night for a junior high schooler, it's everywhere. And then we go to tennis. We watched how Serena and Venus Williams were treated. Arthur Ashe, Althea Gibson. But not in quite a few decades has anyone been this bold.
I really never expected to lose to a black player in the Grand Slam final. This is not meant to be a prejudice statement. Instead, it stems from my confidence in my own competitive form. I'm ranked #1 in the world and I've dominated the entire tour over the past few months. I thought this match wouldn't have any suspense. However, the result is that I lost and I didn't lose with dignity. She won, but not because her performance was flawless. It was because I made a series of mistakes. From the very first set, I completely lost my rhythm in serving and my returns lacked aggression. While I was making mistakes one after another, I watched her score points. She just picked up the crown that I dropped rather than carving out a path to victory on her own. She didn't push me to my limits. She just stood there and waited for me to make mistakes by myself. I congratulated her, shook her hand, and nodded in acknowledgement. That was the respect I could show. But if you expect me to say with a smile, she deserves all of this, sorry, I can't bring myself to say it. It's not that I haven't played more difficult matches or faced stronger opponents, but today I gave away the victory. I'm not willing to accept it, and I'm not convinced. This defeat is not the end, but a wake-up call. I will come back calmer, more precise, and more ruthless. The next time we meet, she will be facing the real me.
She faced the real you, because did you catch? She said she didn't expect to lose to a black player. Not that she didn't expect to lose. She said that this young lady did not pave out her own way to victory. Were they not at the same competition? Were they not in the same final round? But even though they were at the same place at the same time, on the same level, I need you to recognize how ingrained it is that somebody just gave it to us. Like they just scoured the stands and plucked Coco out of nowhere. Mind you, this isn't the first time Coco beat that young lady. Now let's get into some immigration.
If you thought that the Trump family immigration story began and ended with Grandpa Drumpf, then you're in for a real treat. Buckle up, because today we're talking about Marianne McLeod Trump, Donnie T's mom, and spoiler alert, the mother of Build the Wall Don was quite literally a poor immigrant housemaid. She grew up in poverty as the youngest of 10 on a tiny island in Scotland. English was not her first language. In 1930, at just 18 years old, she boarded a boat and arrived in New York with just $50 in her pocket. She came to work as a domestic servant. If she had been working during that time without proper documentation, it would have been considered a violation of immigration law under the standards of today. And we even have documentation from a 1940 census that she herself filled out, stating that she is a naturalized US citizen. However, records show that she didn't actually become a US citizen until 1942. 12 years after her arrival. So yes, Donald Trump is not just the grandson of a draft-dodging German immigrant, he is also the son of a poor immigrant Scottish woman. If you're still with me, let's be absolutely clear about something. Being the child or grandchild of an immigrant is not the problem. Unless you're an indigenous Native American, then we are all immigrants. The issue is not immigration, it's the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy of building an entire political identity around demonizing immigrants. The hypocrisy of shouting, "Come the right way," while standing on a family history that likely wouldn't survive the very policies being pushed today.
I need it to sink into you all that the man that's anti-anchor baby is an anchor baby. They always want to close the doors behind them, but let me also remind you that the Drumpf family did not want to be here. This was supposed to be temporary refuge for them for draft dodging. They were kicked out of Germany. They were kicked out of Deutschland. Deutschland said, no, come back. But there's one more you should take a look at, especially since they're claiming that their father was tortured. And that's the reason why they don't like the Communist Party, but it wasn't a communist leader that allegedly tortured their father.
Welcome back The green card's for me, but not for thee. Ted Cruz edition. While Teddy Cruz is currently starring in his own public humiliation, courtesy of Tucker Carlson of all people, let's talk about the other thing he doesn't want you to bring up. His immigration story. Teddy Cruz was born in Alberta, Canada in 1970. Yep, you heard that right, which makes him the first US senator to have been born there. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because Teddy's father, Rafael Cruz, was a Cuban immigrant whose immigration story is far from by the book. Rafael fled Cuba at age 18 in 1957. How did he leave Cuba? A bribe. A lawyer friend of the family paid off a Cuban official in order to get an exit stamp on his passport, literally circumventing immigration rules before even entering. He entered the US on a 4-year student visa and enrolled at the University of Texas. And after his student visa expired, he remained in the country illegally, and then eventually applied for political asylum. Sound familiar? Well, it should, because his son Teddy now wants to ban that exact type of asylum claim. Rafael married a US citizen, and together they moved to Canada, which is where Teddy was born. In fact, Teddy didn't even renounce his Canadian citizenship until 2014. So when we look at Teddy's congressional voting record, which rails against anchor babies and birthright citizenship, it opposes DACA and supports Trump's border wall and family separation, just remember, he himself was born outside of the United States. His dad was an illegal alien, and his entire existence as a US citizen would not fly under the policies that he pushes today. If you like this video, make sure you're following me here and on YouTube in case I get silenced here, and let me know who's...
I want to take y'all back a little bit. The first time Rafael Cruz Jr. threw his hat into the POTUS race arena, there were so many people, specifically on Facebook, that were like, no, he was born on a military base in Canada. His father was in the military. And this is why I don't take Cruz seriously, because why keep throwing your hat in a ring that you're not qualified for? It's against the Constitution. And he's voting against what would keep him from ever being president. He's not voting to expand who could be president of the United States. And I also want to bring attention to what many of his cohorts in the MAGA portion of the GOP are trying to do to Mamdani out of New York, wanting him deported and all these things. So people today, he's only been a citizen for this amount of years and da-da-da-da-da. But you rail with Cruz. The smoke and mirrors of the GOP is astounding. You have people who are legitimate elites well before they got into politics, pretending to not be elite and telling you that the elites are bad. And the immigrants that are in Congress fighting hard to represent the people are demonized, but the immigrants that hide or try to hide that they are immigrants are praised. And they're not trying to do any work for the people. Now, closing out, we're gonna go through a video, because this has quite a few layers.
Of the ring, don't do it. 6 months ago, my honey and I went and picked out rings. We went to a big...
It is important that you pay attention to, she said her honey and she went to go pick out rings. This is important.
Bigger box store, because what I wanted was not very intricate. It was very simple. You go into those stores.
Not intricate, very simple. Okay.
They ask you to fill out some information. my sweetheart, he filled out his information and asked us if we wanted to purchase the warranty on the ring. And of course, we want the warranty. So they said,
filled out information, asked about a warranty.
okay, well, we'll contact you every 6 months after the ring is purchased. After the ring is purchased, and remind you to come in and get your prongs checked and your ring cleaned. When they handed me a card to fill out my information, I thought nothing of it.
So she didn't read the card. And here's the thing. You're both in the store together to pick out rings. They hand you a card to put your information on it. They already told you, and you reiterated, that they would be contacting you. Are we following along here?
That day that we picked out the ring, Michael did not purchase it. He waited 6 months as to, number one, finish saving, and number two, add some type of element to surprise. Because
So you went ring shopping before saving. You agreed to purchase the warranty without having the proper money there. You designed a ring without having the proper money there. But this is your element of surprise. Already knowing what the jewelry store you're at, the time frames of everything going on, with the fact that he was going 6 months out to do it. Okay.
we've been dating for 7 years. Like, I know this is coming, but he wanted to catch me off guard and surprise me. Well, this past Monday.
How's he going to catch you off guard and surprise you? You've been waiting 7 years for this. So from the day that you met him, which is plausible, you can know that it's your person very quickly, or it can take you a while. I mean, if y'all knew right away, and you've been waiting 7 years, why didn't he already have it saved up? And how's he going to catch you off guard with some shit you know about? This isn't like, oh, we had this conversation and recently I could tell maybe he was fishing around to make sure he would get the right ring. Maybe the day is coming up. No, you're in on every inch of the planning. But let's continue.
He went to talk to my parents. And afterwards
y'all went to go get rings. Y'all already had the conversation. You went to go get rings. You picked out your own ring or designed it or whatever. And then he went to go talk to your parents, and you know all about this. So what was supposed to be a surprise? The day of the week?
Went to the jeweler and placed an order for the ring. It had to be put into its setting, and that evening on his way home, I received an email at about 6:30, and it just came across the top of my phone as just Gmail.
So if it comes across the top of your phone as just Gmail, that means you don't have a preview up. You don't have any of that up. And that's important because she comes back to talk about the email situation again later.
iPhone, you just click it and it brings you right to the email that was just sent to you. And in that email,
we all know how notifications work.
Was 3 photos of my engagement ring. Was not going to say anything to Michael. I was going to take the secret to my grave. But that night when Michael came home, he knew something was wrong.
You weren't going to take it to your grave. This is the beginning of your hissy fit and you weaponizing being the poor little damsel to get your way. And I don't think this is about you not having the element of surprise regarding a ring that you went to go see, you chose or designed or whatever, or anything else. But this ain't going to go how you think it's going to go, because you did turn them comments off. But for the planning of the rest of your wedding, it's real clear you're trying to get your dream wedding by being a Karen and getting things discounted or for free because people just ruined your surprise on everything. You're very much so giving. You would take your honey to your dress appointment and then complain to the dress shop that there was no surprise. Girl, bye.
And knowing from where he had just come from, it kind of tipped him off, and the truth came out of what happened. To say we are devastated is an understatement. We have waited 7 years for this. I've waited 27 years for this, and it was taken from us.
What was taken from you? You waited 27 years. So the day that you popped out your mama's coochie hooch, you was trying to get married. Now you said that you've been with this man. Y'all been waiting on this for 7 years. So once again, you went to the store with him. He had not saved up in 7 years. He was finishing saving up in 6 months. You knew the jeweler, you knew the ring, you knew the time frame. You knew that he went to go talk to your mom and dad. Where the fuck was this surprise supposed to come from?
I took a day to process. Even though he was devastated.
Your processing is broken. Actually, I don't think you took the time to process. You just want to be a Karen because you recorded this on TikTok. There is the feature for 10-minute videos. And I noticed that you keep stopping so you can change scenes, and you're splicing and dicing things in here. And you can't even summon a tear. But let's continue.
My sweetheart is very much a pushover and cannot do confrontation. Remind you to come.
I'm going to make myself small, and I'm going to make my partner small as well. We need y'all to help me. So in case we don't get what I want, I'll put up a GoFundMe, or here's my Cash App and my Venmo and my Zelle, and you all can help pay for this wedding that we know we can't afford. Because if in 7 years y'all ain't put nothing together, you ain't put nothing to the side, I know where this is about to go.
And get your prongs checked and your ring cleaned. When they handed me a card to fill out my information, I thought nothing of it. That day that we decided that was kind of a slap in the face. And knowing from where he had just come from, so I reached out to them, and initially the clerk had offered me 15% off of my ring. After talking to him and talking to some family and some friends, we decided that was kind of a slap in the face.
Your family and friends decided it was a slap in the face for them to give you a discount for something they didn't do wrong, and they didn't remove anything. You know what? That's enough of that. Here's the thing. Miss Mamas, wedding professionals are all over social media. They get a lot of their clientele from social media. They're going to see this. They're not going to want to do business with you because your slick attempt at sleight of hand, because she goes on to say that she still wasn't happy. They fixed something when it was time to pick up the ring. They gave it to her, and then she goes into the spiel about, oh, I get a lot of emails on my phone from work, and I just click. But remember, she doesn't have any previews on, so she doesn't know what she's clicking. And in the year of our Lord, 2025, with the amount of spam emails and fraudulent emails that go out, you just willy-nilly clicking emails. Okay. Wedding professionals are not going to want to work with you. You're the type to take your man dress shopping. Do the same thing. Everybody get their information. Be like, oh, he knows what my dress looks like. It ruined this surprise. Caterer. Oh, this was ruined. Nobody's going to want to deal with you. Once again, y'all have had this plan for 7 years, and he didn't have enough money set aside. And yes, I understand things happen, but y'all went to the store together. You repeatedly said you designed the ring. You know when he went to go see your parents. You knew the approximate time he would be picking it up. What was going to be the surprise? The day of the week? That can still be a surprise. Like, you're like, well, this was supposed to be a surprise, and this was supposed to be, I didn't know what the final product was going to look like. You said that you have been wishing for this and waiting for this all your life, especially in the 7 years you've been with him. And you're acting as if you're a 67-year-old woman who's getting married for the first time. You're 27. This is when trying to scam goes wrong. because she thinks that people are going to come out and donate services, and those comments showed her real quick that ain't what it's about. That's why she cut those comments out, but she still left the video up because at the very least she could generate some income from that. And I promise you there will be more stories about her adventures through being a fiance that everybody is just doing her so wrong so she can generate the money. Look, I don't ever try to yuck anybody's yum. But get out of the mindset that this is a one and done. There are people that have vow renewals every year on their anniversary. A couple that was very, very near and dear to my heart, my mentor and his wife, when they originally got married, they were dirt poor. They could not have their dream wedding. They were in their 50s when they finally had their dream wedding because they had sacrificed for their family, for their careers, for their children, all these things. And when they finally had a little change to be able to take the honeymoon that they wanted and have things the way that they wanted, they did it. It's one day, but it's one day that you get to choose when you have that day that the way you want it. There's no reason to get on the internet and try to scam people for a day that means something to you. Yes, people will come and celebrate with you, but that is a day that is special to you. And I'm not being mean. Don't come over here, oh, she's being bitter. No, I'm being honest. You can go down to the courthouse today, or if you know a minister, and like my dad does it a lot for people at his church. I've had a couple family members that do it. A couple friends, couple family members, or just enough for the witnesses, and have a little ceremony at the church initially, and then later on they have the wedding that they want. But trying to pretend that something that you were done wrong, come on now. Come on now. You would have had more sympathy with us if you would have said that they gave your fiance the wrong ring and didn't want to replace the ring, and you're trying to, get something back out of it. But you knew you couldn't lie that bigly because the internet is a feral place. They would have found that place and called them and read the Mariah hat, and the last thing you want is for somebody else to come out and tell the truth on you. But baby, they didn't ruin your element of surprise. There was none. Like the whole surprise for you was how he was going to propose and when he was going to propose. And you knew that. But you wanted to be a big baby. You said that I was going to keep this from him and take it to my grave. But he walked in the house and immediately knew something was wrong with you. And to her sweetie pie honey bunch, run. And I normally don't say that. Normally, I'm the type of person, talk it out, work it out, as long as ain't nobody knocking somebody between the refrigerator and the wall. But sweetheart, run. Run. I have read the Reddit post. I have seen the social media posts from men and women who got into relationships and ended up marrying Karens and Richards. Run. Run. Because their tester for all of their schemes is going to be you. And the longer you stay with them, the worse it's going to be for you, because they're going to run to scream to talk to the manager, which is going to be the internet, to make you the villain when they were all along. Well, child, that's what we got for today. Friendly neighborhood reminder. We're almost to the point where we can do super chats, etc. over here. So if you have a friend, bring them over here. Tell them to subscribe if you like the content. Also, I do have other content on here. Please, please, please take a look, enjoy. Also, I do have classes, merch, all of those things. Check out the link in the bio. And thank you for joining me here for Conversations with Taz. Think About It Thursday. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Y'all be good.